Greetings everybody, I am back in northern Wisconsin in the big woods. This is a place I usually come to every year, and typically I'm here in July, but I had to alter my vacationing and I come up here with my boys, and what a beautiful time to be up here in the middle of fall, or the beginning of fall. And I've underdressed. It's a little chilly up here, but not too chilly that I can't have a refreshing beer from the land of sky blue waters. I always like to bang out a video when I'm up here just because the surroundings are so nice. And what I'm going to talk about today is a writer that I'm very fond of, and he's been very inspirational to me long before I started this channel. His name is Richie Unterberger. And Unterberger is a rock historian, I guess you'd call him, that really started cranking out the books about the late 90s. And I just wanted to go through some of the books that I have of his and share those with you and promote him a little bit, because he's got a new book coming out in 2024, Bob Marley and the Wailers, The Ultimate Illustrated History, and that's due to come out next year. So Unterberger is known, you've probably read his liner notes. He did extensive liner notes for record labels like Collector's Choice, Rhino, Sundazed. And he's written several books. And this first book I want to show you is called Unknown Legends of Rock and Roll, Psychedelic Unknowns, Mad Geniuses, Punk Pioneers, and Lo-Fi Mavericks, and more. And this is an early book I found of his. Was very helpful because he really focused on some obscure bands. And Unterberger has he's very well versed in all forms of popular music. And that allows him to bring those influences and that information into the wider discussion, even when it's a very obscure band. Let me give you an idea let me just read you some of the categories here. So we got psychedelic unknowns, post-punk hybrids, punk pioneers, One Shot Was All They Got, folk music rock attitude, comic relief, Out of the Garage. So these are all categories. He's got several bands under each one, and he dedicates a few pages to each. So for example, Out of the Garage features the Chocolate Watch Band, Music Machine, The Remains, The Rising Storm, Lost British Invaders, we have The Creation, Duffy Power, Graham Bond. One Shot Was All They Got, we got The Blue Things, Judy Henske and Jerry Yester, The Rising Suns, Tomorrow, United States of America. Folk rock attitude, we got Sandy Denny, The Holy Modal Rounders. Comic relief, The Ruddles, Screamin' Lord Sutch. So he really covers a ton of ground here. And one of the great things about his books, they come with a CD of some of the music. So you can still find these books all over, and hopefully you can find the CD in there. And I'll put some links below so you can maybe more quickly breeze through some reviews of these books. So that came out in 1998. The follow-up, this came out in 1999, Urban Spacemen and Wayfaring Strangers, Overlooked Innovators and Eccentric Visionaries of 60s Rock. A man after my own heart here. This is very similar to this book, but it covers, some of these bands had a couple of hits, but they're not talked about as if they had any more than like one hit. Groups like the Electric Prunes, the Pretty Things, the Beau Brummels, Bobby Fuller, the Rationals, Fred Neil, Tim Buckley are all people in here. Crazy World of Arthur Brown, the Fugs, Bonzo Dog Band, and even guys like Giorgio Gomelski and Shel Talmy. So it's not just performers, it's some producers as well. And this also has the CD. And there's not, every band that he covers in these books doesn't get on the CD. This only has 6 tracks, but it's got Richard and Mimi Farina, the Fugs, the Midnighters, Bobby Fuller 4. So some very nice stuff. Moving along to, let's see here. Actually, this book came out in 2000, I beg your pardon. The next batch of books he did, this kind of 2-part thing on folk rock. The first one was Turn, Turn, Turn. This came out in 2000. And then, my sheet notes here. Hold on. And then the following year in 2003, 8 Miles High, Folk Rock's Flight from Haight-Ashbury to Woodstock. These would be the books I would highly recommend if you're looking for American, what I would call the folk rock psychedelic period. It really goes in depth. And as I said, to understand the folk rock period well, you have to understand the folk period. And to understand the psychedelic period in America well, you have to understand the folk rock period. So he covers all the bases here, and it's not just American musicians, it's British ones as well, because they influenced the whole scene. And this is now available. I think it was revised into a single volume. So that is available as well. Love him. Let's see what else has he got here. Oh, the other book I didn't bring up here was, he did a Beatle book called Unreleased Beatles. And this won a prize. This was the winner of the 2007 award, Historical Recorded Sound Research Award. It covers all the bootlegs. It covers Beatles on film. And I do have that one. I forgot to bring that one along. He also did a Velvet Underground book called White Light, White Heat, 2009. And also in 2009, The Rough Guide to Jimi Hendrix. So he gets into some very interesting bands here that we can always use a little deeper discussion and research on. Just like 2011's book on The Who, Won't Get Fooled Again, From Lifehouse to Quadrophenia. So that is one I haven't read yet, but that's on my list. 2016 he did Fleetwood Mac, The Illustrated History, and as I mentioned, he's got a new book coming out in 2024, Bob Marley and the Wailers, The Ultimate Illustrated History. He doesn't just do music, he does, I guess he does some travel books as well. I think he's based in San Francisco, but he's a Philadelphia guy originally. So Unterberger, I don't see him much these days. I wish he had a YouTube channel or something. He's done some interviews. You can find him online here and there, but you'll mostly find his liner notes. And I've been reading his notes for years, and he's been a big inspiration to me, particularly on this channel. So if you are looking for a writer to get more in depth on any of these bands or obscure stuff, Unterberger would be the guy to look into. Okay, one of the things that is kind of interesting, some of the forewords in these books are done by the likes of Paul Kantner or Lenny Kaye. So he's taken rather seriously. I just want to read a brief paragraph in this book. It's the introduction to Turn, 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 the 60s folk rock revolution, just to get a feeling for his flair, I guess, his writing style. Here's one paragraph in the introduction. It says, "Yet, as the initial folk rock boom faded further and further into history, music historians became keener to dismiss it as a passing fad, an awkward hybrid, or a necessary temporary phase that rock needed to pass through as it grew into an art form. Too often it was simplified as something that Bob Dylan had invented almost single-handedly, even if it took the Byrds to popularize folk rock covers of Dylan songs. As it diversified, and as different critics brought infinitely different perspectives to the form in the following decades, folk rock's definition became so wide and flexible that at times the term seemed almost meaningless. To some, any singer-songwriter singing about personal concerns with the guitar style that owes anything to folk rock strumming is folk rock. Others adamantly applied far narrower guidelines, echoing the very dogmatic mindset that the first folk rockers were so eager to escape. It's all served to blur folk rock's image and, in the eyes of some, diminish its importance." So that's how he starts off this series, and he takes it from there. And as you can see, he views it's pretty important by the size of these two books combined. The other thing I want to mention is that he does tons of interviews with principal players throughout all these books. Obviously, that's getting harder and harder to do as they age out and pass away. But I think he must be a very good interviewer because he gets some very good information out of them. And occasionally I've used some of that information in my videos, and it helps really make my videos much more rich because of his hard work. So that's just a quick review for you here. I plan on doing some more book reviews. I've got a couple guys lined up to speak with coming up here in the fall. One is a Beatle book, and that'll be coming up very soon. And one we'll be talking about, Glenn Greenberg will be joining me. We'll be talking a little bit about some of my Beach Boys videos, which I'm half through with right now. And the next one's going to be coming soon. So do stay tuned for that one. And I will be talking to you soon. You'll see me back here on Pop Goes the 60s.
From the land of sky blue water, from the land of pines, lofty boats and refreshing.